So self-concept, boom. Self-concept is the story that we've been telling and repeating to ourselves a lot of times since we were younger. Them ages play a big part of our lives and our adulthood and how we perceive things to be. The self-concept is basically how the subconscious mind runs on autopilot. It's the thoughts that you repeat about who you are. It's based on the times trauma, culture, and environments, also religion. And it shapes what you allow and expect and as well as attract in your life. So we got the little quote there, where focus goes, energy flows. You know what I mean? If y'all ever heard that quote, shout out to y'all. That's one of my favorite quotes. When you concentrate on a single thought for more than several seconds, those thoughts start to become, you'll notice those thoughts start to branch off into other thoughts and other thoughts, other possibilities of that original thought. So say if you thought about an apple for several seconds, you start thinking about, okay, green apples are sour, red apples are more sweet. You start to, your brain starts to fill in those little gaps so that you create a storyline for that apple that you focused your attention on for several seconds. And this is how our life works, So self-concept can also be seen as the filter to your reality. How many times have you heard somebody say, especially on TikTok, oh, she got rose-colored glasses on? That basically just means that, like, she sees the world, or they see the world, he sees the world kind of brighter than everybody else. They kind of see it in this, like, romanticized way. And they may not be seeing everything that's coming. Some people look at this as naive. Some people look at this as unaware, unconscious, but it's literally just a filter, and everybody has a certain filter. On a scale from 1 to 10, low self-concept would be the worst, 10 would be the best. Low self-concept follows things of I'm not worthy, constant struggle, attracts chaos, and stuck in cycles. They feel like life is controlling them, maybe. So people with low self-concepts mainly feel like puppets to their world. They don't feel like they have any control to do anything. Where if we look on the other hand, we have an empowered self-concept, the high self-concept, which is knowing that, okay, I'm in a situation, but I do deserve better. They set clear boundaries, they align with people and opportunities easier, and life flows smoother. These people typically feel like they do get what they want, and they have a sense of control over themselves and the life around them. Down here we have, what you believe is what you expect. What you expect is what you notice, and what you notice is what you experience. Your reality is self-concept on repeat. It's a constant cycle of what you're allowing, your boundaries, who you are being, who you are showing up as, who you're allowing other people to show up as in your world. So it gets kind of deep. And you'll notice that you can have two people go through the same exact experiences, and one person can walk away with trauma in their head down and feeling like life sucks and they don't want to be here anymore, versus that other person who kind of didn't internalize it. They kind of alchemized what they went through, and they walked away with a higher head and knowing that it was just an experience and that life will provide better, and they'll probably even actually learn from their trauma and their mistakes more than kind of being this victim mindset of, oh, why me? Oh, life is always happening to me. Bad things keep happening to me. So like I said in my previous videos, your brain has its very own algorithm. So of course you can always change the frequency and the patterns of your thoughts. And in order to do this, a practice that you can do right now is write it down, speak it out loud, visualize, and then you end up receiving a form of that manifestation. So for write, you're going to tell your story on purpose. You write old beliefs in your journal. What you can do, which I noticed a lot of people have been doing, is write down all the negative and the old beliefs, anything that was holding them back, anything that seemed a little toxic, write it all down in your notebook. And then what you can do is look at that, and you can actually create new thought patterns and basically flip those old negative stories into positive ones. So for example, if you've been telling yourself on repeat, oh, I'm ugly, I'm ugly, I'm ugly, I'm ugly, you can write that down in your notebook. And the opposite of that would be, oh, I'm attractive. You start writing down, I'm attractive, I'm attractive, I'm attractive. You see, like, you get the drift that I'm going for. So now, after you wrote it down, you could talk it, speak it into existence. Everybody who read the Bible knows that God has spoke things into existence. And that's how humans create. We think, we speak, and do. So talking to yourself out loud, using affirmations that work, for you. One thing that I've noticed in the community is that sometimes affirmations will be too vague, and they won't really hit your subconscious mind because they're so vague. So, for example, saying that, oh, I'm attractive. Well, if you want to get deeper into that, what parts of you do you really find that are unattractive? And then maybe focus on those. So you can notice in these examples that they're detailed. They have a sense of feeling, emotion in it that also helps trigger the subconscious mind to absorb the affirmation much faster. So don't just say a bunch of affirmations and hope for the best. And then the next step will be to see yourself already living in it, visualizing. Visualization activates your brain like real experience. So if you can close your eyes and you could picture a scene, very clearly say that you're on a beach, the sun is setting, you can hear the birds, you can feel the texture of the sand. If you're new to visualization, it's maybe a little bit hard, but you basically just want to be that inner kid again. When we were kids, it was so easy for us to imagine things. We didn't need a bunch of toys. Well, at least I didn't need a bunch of toys to actually be satisfied, because the toys that I had created worlds inside of worlds inside of worlds. So activating that inner child again and visualizing, imagining the things that you want to have as if they are already done. And then that leads us to the next step, which is act as if it's already yours. You want to act like it's already done. You want to dress differently. Start dressing how you actually feel. Don't be scared to go get that new piece of clothing that you've been wanting because you wasn't sure how it would look on you. Especially, which I see with a lot of plus size women, is that they feel insecure about their body type, so they won't get a certain dress or a certain piece of clothing. Get that certain piece of clothing and actually walk with pride in that clothing. You know what I mean? What I'm saying? So if it's money, then start acting like you're rich. I'm not saying ball. Like, rich people don't act as if they're millionaires. You know what I mean? They still set boundaries. You know what I mean? They're not just out here flexing, but also just investing their money. Millionaires invest their money smarter than most people in property. So start acting as if you already have this manifestation done, as if your words are true, because they are. And then you start noticing the more you walk in it, the more that the world will reflect it towards you. So we can even use my story for an example on how I went from being invisible to magnetic. A lot of times when I was younger, I didn't even know what this world was about. You know, I thought that I was just an observer. Everything was happening around me, but I wasn't actually in this world. So my old story was I was constantly getting bullied, and even when I wasn't getting bullied, like if I did have a friend, that always end up excluding myself because I always thought of myself as somebody who wasn't going to be popular, somebody who was going to be kind of a nerd, like who wasn't deserving of having good friends as well. So I always told myself I was too weird, I'm not good enough, and I'd never be successful. I also took on stories from other people and was wearing them like facts, whether it be something I observed in other people or something other people brought to me, like bullies and stuff like that, telling us that we're not good enough, and kind of internalizing it and making it my own story, even though that was never my story. And also, like, I was fine with being treated bad. I was fine with people disrespecting me. I was fine with people putting their hands on me. I was fine with a lot of stuff that was not really acceptable in my now-to-day life. How I changed this is, one, I had to realize that I was living by other people's scripts. This is not the life that I wanted for myself. This is not the life that I would want to create. And I started to rewrite that story, like I said, flipping those thoughts in a journal from things that I allowed to things that were actually positive. And I started feeding myself more truth. I would look in the mirror, I would repeat these affirmations, I would record myself speaking the affirmations into my phone, I would make meditations for me to listen to on a daily basis so that I could really saturate my subconscious and conscious mind with this new truth. Also stop running from love, opportunities, and support. What you'll notice is, especially if you grew up kind of chaotic in a chaotic household, is that when you do have somebody that actually loves and cares for you, your mind thinks that's a threat. I mean, your mind's not really willing to accept that, so we put ourselves in positions like we're not really accepting and fully taking that love on. Okay, so I had to start running from it and start embracing it, even for myself. I was not even taking the love for myself. When you're in a bad mindset, when you can have 1,000 bad thoughts all day, you have that one positive thoughts. A lot of us don't take that one positive thought. We reject it, but we accept all the negativity. So you have to start accepting the love from yourself too. And that's what I did. And now in my present story, I walk with more confidence and opportunities find me. I don't have to go out and apply for several jobs for me to actually maintain money. People start coming up to me, giving me job opportunities. I don't even have to speak most of the times. People just know what I do. Okay, I've been invited to do certain shows, to perform, act, all these different type of things because that's just my aura. To me, I'm pretty known, respected, and I'm seen for who I really am instead of the things that people used to think that I was. You know what I mean? So before, when people would see me and not really see much or would see the worst of me, now I'm seen for like kind of the best aspects and qualities of me. So notice that people treat me how I treat me. So most of the time, if I'm treating myself with love, then if I walk out to the world, then a lot of people are going to treat me with love. If I wake up and I give myself a bunch of compliments, I go out to the world, people are giving me a bunch of compliments, or it's other people to compliment. You know what I mean? So it works both ways. And this is because the world is mirroring back to ourselves that self-love that we have in the first place. And I no longer fear receiving good things. I accept them with open arms. Now, it's pretty easy for me to kind of receive. Obviously, you don't have to take all gifts, and that's a topic for a different story, but a story for another time. But just accepting things instead of fearing them, I feel like in any circumstance is the best option. That little quote down there says, "It was simpler when people treated me bad, but I realized I wasn't created for struggle. I was created for alignment." So you can repeat that to yourselves if you need to, because your inner, like I said, that inner voice needs new scripts. A lot of times we think that, that inner voice in my head is just beating me up. It's always telling me bad things. It's not necessarily trying to do that on purpose. It's just repeating the script that you've been allowing or telling it. Any script that you've been confirming in this world. Like Kanye West said, we are all actors. We are born actors. And one movie said only smart ones get paid for being actors. You know what I mean? But pretty much your brain runs on a script. So you'll notice this in school too, right? When you learn something new and you retaining that information, it's actually something that you like, you're going to retain that information a whole lot faster. And a lot of us remember that information all the way up to adulthood. I forget the Pie song, but I know a lot of people that still remember Pie song. I wasn't that interested in it. I don't think I was paying attention that much, so I don't remember it too much. But I know a lot of people from childhood, elementary school, that still sing Pie songs to this day. So it's just really a script that you repeat and that you become aligned with. So when we have thoughts in our inner head, or whatever, the first step is you want to catch the belief. Pay attention to the story behind your reactions. When something makes you mad, when something makes you excited, sad, angry, you want to pay attention to the story behind it, because most of the time it's never really what just happened, right? Say if somebody spilled coffee on this t-shirt and I get mad, and I want to rage, even if it was an accident. Most of the time it's not the fact that somebody spilled coffee on my t-shirt. It's actually the repressed anger and trauma that I've let build up over the years. You start telling yourself, this always happened to me, always had bad days. Why do you keep allowing that script to be playing in your head? Over one small thing, I just go in the house and change my t-shirt. It was never about the coffee in the first place. You understand what I'm saying? So you want to pay attention to the story behind your reactions. You want to pay attention to what the voice in your head is saying. And then you want to catch, where did this come from? You know what I mean? You want to start tracking it back. Like I said, if I'm mad, why does this always happen to me? 2 days ago, somebody stole my... my dad was never around. You know what I mean? You want to pay attention to where does this story come from, or if the story is even yours, if it's something that you just observed. Because a lot of the time, especially in this world of technology and media, we absorb so much. Like, our subconscious is constantly picking up on everything, even if you're not paying attention to it. So sometimes we can watch a movie or hear a certain song, and we start to absorb and internalize these feelings. You know what I mean? Say you hear a song about a heartbreak, right? Get so in your feelings, even if you've never experienced heartbreak in your life. That's how we start to actually create these experiences, is because we so in our feelings, we so in our bags. We internalize it so much that it starts to become part of us. Okay? So, once you catch the belief, the second thing is to challenge the belief. You need to ask yourself, is this thought a fact or is it just familiar? Is it a fact or is it familiar? Time is just a repeated story. It's not a fact. You know, and the thing is, a lot of the times we know these aren't facts. We just feel some type of way about them. Because why are they being repeated to me? You know what I mean? If you got a bully and they saying all these things to you, oh, you ugly, you ugly, you ugly, you ugly. Even though you know damn well you're not ugly. Nobody in your life perceives you as ugly. That person probably just a hater, but you started to internalize that. Now that thought becomes familiar. So you need to ask yourself, is this a fact or is it familiar? Then you want to flip it into a statement that aligns with your higher self. Remember I said, if you want, you could write it all down and then you will just find the opposite of whatever that is. So fear, what's the opposite of fear is love. If you have thoughts about anger, the opposite of anger is joy. So you want to start flipping these thoughts. Finding little sentences, little affirmations that it don't have to be so big. You know what I mean? If you're broke and that thought is familiar to you, oh, I'm broke. Flip it to, I'm a person that can actually handle money. I've handled money before. This is a temporary phase. I'm getting more aligned with more money. You know what I mean? You don't have to be like, oh, I'm a millionaire, I'm a billionaire, I'm gonna be the first in my family. No, it's just all what your brain can absorb. And of course, obviously, the more that you practice this, the more easier it's gonna be to actually align and be able to tell yourself, oh, I'm a millionaire, and actually be able to see that for yourself. So, like I said, yeah, the next point, make it believable, not fake. Like I said, we're going to them smaller sections until you could be able to hit those bigger ones. You know what I mean? If you're in the gym for the first time, you don't go and you lift 100 pounds. Oh, and you don't just bicep curl 100 pounds in the first time in the gym. You know what I mean? You got to work up. You got to build that slowly until you can actually process that and be able to curl that 100 without actually hurting yourself. And that's the whole point here. Step 3, to replace and repeat. So once you choose that new belief, you say it, write it, feel it, try if you can smell it. Like, try to include all your senses into this new belief. Okay? As much as you can. You wanna saturate your mind with this, because what's gonna always win is familiarity. Am I saying that word right? What's always gonna win is the one that you repeat the most. The action that you repeat the most. Like I said, you're gonna just keep going back to the gym. Matter of fact, we'll do food, right? You're trying to lose weight. Which one is gonna help you the most, right? If you keep eating fast food every single day, right? Or if you actually add in those healthy meals and a balanced diet, right? The more that you eat the healthier meals, the easier it is for you to lose the weight. Versus if you're constantly still eating fast food, it's gonna be harder for you to lose that weight. It's the same thing with the mind. The more that you repeat the bad thoughts, the harder it is for you to actually include these new thoughts, for you to become the person that you want to be. But if you flip it and you start repeating those positive thoughts more than the negative thoughts, then it's going to be easier for you to align with your goals. So try to get all 5 senses into it, visualize it, feel it, say it. If you need a vision board, see it, like, do as much as you can. You want to rewire your mind by feeding it the truth on loop. Like I said, you want to saturate it. If a belief isn't service to your higher self or goals, starve it. It has no purpose, okay? It's just a thought, and it's probably going to be a negative thought. Or if it's a neutral thought, it's probably going to lead into a negative thought if that's what you're used to. And if you've been trying to manifest for a while and you still aren't happy, then you need to live in your new beliefs more often, meaning that you actually need to walk as if. You need to believe, not only believe, but actually showing actions and showing up for your highest self. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about the affirmations. Faith without work is dead, and we know this. And then you're just gonna make it your own. Like I say at the self-concept practice ain't just one size fits all. You have to find something that works for you. So a couple of practices you can try is journaling, reflecting, rewrite, or script your future self. You can use mirror talk, which Michael Jackson uses a lot. So saying your affirmations out loud while looking at yourself, believing in it, especially if you can find some water, because I heard water is better than mirrors. Prayer or attention setting, especially if you're religious, connecting spiritually before stepping into your day, and also ending your day. Those are the two most important times because your subconscious mind is still open from the dream states. So you want to actually be setting that intention, prayer, or visualization inside your day. You also want movement and embodiment. You can dance, walk, stretch, like you're already your next level self, you know what I mean? And that also goes for regulating your nervous system too. And then we have the audio loops, especially if you record your own voice. I feel like this pays off more than going on YouTube. I know it's easier, so if it's like a convenient thing to you, then I still use YouTube loops sometimes. But if you can record your own voice saying these affirmations and listen to your new beliefs on loop, even when you're sleeping, because the subconscious mind is open at this time, that is a really, really good way to actually start incorporating those new beliefs without much effort. And then lastly, we have creative expression. Use poetry, visuals, design, music to express your new self-concept. Even if it's not your own, like I said, you can go on YouTube, finding songs. I always say making a playlist to feed your new self is also key because, we're not listening to the same music. So yeah. And it's also not really also about the method. These are just methods, but it's the intention behind it, your awareness behind it, you being able to actually being locked in. So like back to the gym, when we're working out, the most how you gain the most muscle is mind-body connection. And the same thing for these practices. You want to have that mind-body connection. You don't want to just be in there repping it out, and not actually having that click go off of your mind and be like, okay, there's something happening here.